was talking about how I was sobbing uncontrollably because that's all I did this book. Hey everyone, it's Samia, and right now I'm going to be doing a book review. This is going to be a book review of The Air He Breathes by Brittainy C. Cherry. I just finished this book last night, and I really just want to dive into this review and let you all know about my thoughts on this book. So, this book brought me on a wild roller coaster of emotions. If you follow me on Goodreads, which you probably don't because I don't think I have like any followers, I think I have one. But you should follow me on Goodreads. My name is Samia Allie, or my username is Samia Allie. It's the same as my YouTube channel. You can always see like my updates and the books I'm reading, and you actually get a sneak peek at all of my hauls because I load my books onto Goodreads 99% of the time before I upload a video. So you can always see that. So you should definitely follow me there. You can always see updates and stuff. But I was updating like every 2 pages. I was posting an update. I have like 35 updates, I think, that I'm just going to quickly go through with you. I'm first going to do a non-spoiler review of this book, my thoughts and whatnot. So, I got this book in the bookworm box, which, fun fact, it's signed. How cool is that? So, this is the back is very vague, and so it talks about, you know, how people are saying that the girl, her name is Elizabeth, she should not trust Tris. Would it be a Samia Allie video if I didn't make a mistake? So let me just start with the characters. Once I start with a few of the characters, it'll make more sense. So the first 2 main characters in this book are Tristan Cole and Elizabeth. I can't think of her last name. Oh gosh, I'm not too sure. I'm probably not going to be able to find it, but her name's Elizabeth. So, there we go. Her name's Elizabeth, and they both deal with tragedy in this book. They both lose family members that they care very, 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 very much about, and they come together to find peace and happiness and closure, and they just want to be able to move forward with their lives. And they find that since they both experience such tragic heartbreak from losing someone, that they connect really well and they really understand each other's pain, and it's about them and their journey on learning how to live after losing someone so important. And they struggle a little bit with their relationship, and Tristan is judged so much in this book by the other people in the book, and so she gets told, like, you shouldn't trust him, he's cruel, he's psycho, he's a beast, he's crazy, you should not be with him, like, all this stuff. And she just sees this different side of him that no one else sees, and they see each other for who they really are, and that's a big part of it. And you know, they just want to be able to breathe. But that's the main premise of the book, and so I'm going to go ahead and let you know that I gave this book 5 stars. I cried a lot. This book is so good. 5 stars. Like, I gave this book 5 stars at 50%. So halfway through the book, I gave this book 5 stars, and I was like, I'm going to see if in the next 50% of the book, if I still feel the same way, and I did. This book is absolutely amazing. I was laughing, I was crying, and I had just told my friend not too long ago, I can't remember the last time I cried in a book. Like, she was telling me about a book that she was crying in, and I was like, I haven't cried in a book in a long time. I just haven't been emotional. I haven't felt such a deep connection that I cried. And this book, I literally cried. I probably want to say on page, like, 2. And I didn't stop until page, like, 150. Like, I cried so much. And it was, like, hysterical sobbing. It was pretty ugly. It was pretty ugly. But this book was seriously just, and it had this huge twist at the end, and I'm not going to talk about that now. This is going to be a non-spoiler, of course. I'll let you know when I start getting into the spoils, because, ooh, I'm going to get into the spoilers. I can't even wait. Okay, so now I'm going to talk more about the characters. I keep looking down because I have a little my notepad here with my notes on it. I should just hold this up like this. So, Okay, now let's talk about the characters. So I mentioned Elizabeth. She also goes by Lizzie and Liz in the book. Then we have Tristan, and he also goes by Tris, which I kind of didn't really like when people would call him Tris because, you know, Divergent, Tris and stuff. And so I kept picturing a female, and I'm like, no, he's a male. This is Tristan. I need to get that through my mind. And so I really did just like calling him Tristan. And then Elizabeth, Lizzie, Liz. Those I was fine with. I didn't mind those nicknames. And then we have Faye, and she was Lizzie's best friend, and she was seriously like the highlight. No, I'm not gonna say she's a highlight of the book, but she is seriously an awesome side character. And I find that many times when I read a book, the best friend tends to be a very strong character, and she was very understanding, and she was very there for her, and she was very understanding. I think I said that already. Sorry. Then we have Tanner, which is Lizzie's old friend. And I didn't really like him the entire book. I didn't like his character at all. Sorry. Not sorry. Then we have Maddie, which is the manager of the restaurant that they work at. Faye and Elizabeth, they both work at a restaurant, like a cafe. He's a manager, and he also gets involved with Faye in the book, and I also didn't really like his character. And then we have, like, the moms and dads. Elizabeth's dad died a long time ago, and so she just has her mom, and in the book she talks about how her mom used men and kind of wasn't really there for her after her dad died, and so she kind of struggled with their relationship. Then we have Mr. Henson, and he owned a shop in town that Tristan worked at, and he got a lot of like bashing in the book. People treated him so bad, they thought he was crazy because he owned a magic shop. They thought he like worshipped the devil, like it was crazy. But in time we found out that he was an amazing person and very caring, very wise, and really just an awesome character. Then we learn about Sam, and Sam is another side character that did play a little bit of a bigger part than some of the other side characters, but he was just a side character. He worked at the cafe that they worked at. Then we have Emma, which is Elizabeth's daughter. And as I mentioned that they both of these characters lost people, I'm going to mention who they lost. I don't think it's that big of a spoiler. You find out on like the first 2 pages of the book. It's very obvious, and I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know who each of these characters lost. So Tristan lost his wife and son. Their names were Jamie and Charlie, and then Elizabeth lost her husband. His name was Stephen, and they both died they all 3 died very tragically in accidents that, you know, happened before all of this story took place. But those are the people that they lost, and that's how they connected. And so now I believe that I'm going to get into the spoiler part. I really just want to recommend this book. It seriously was amazing. I can't recommend it enough. There's a huge twist at the end. The characters have such great development because in the beginning they literally couldn't stand each other. Well, Tristan couldn't stand anybody, but he grew so much. Happened last time too. He grew so much as a character, and it was amazing, and I loved seeing him grow and develop and really open up to the other characters in the book. And also we have another character that I should mention. His name is Zeus, and he's a dog. He's Tristan's dog. He was also a great little side part of the book. But I really, really enjoyed the character development. I loved how they interacted with each other. I thought that they were great for each other. I really, 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 really enjoyed this story, and I cannot recommend this story enough. So now I'm going to go ahead and get onto the spoiler part. I'm going to discuss a lot about the book. I'm going to go into depth about all that. So if you don't plan on reading this, you don't have any interest in it or anything like that, you can keep watching if you want to discuss with me, because I seriously would love to discuss with everybody in the comments about this. Just make sure to try to keep it spoiler free, or, you know, warn that there's spoilers in the comments if you do plan to leave a comment just for others. But now I'm getting into the spoiler part. So if you don't want to see this, I'll see you guys in my next video. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my Goodreads, and I'm going to read off of my updates that I posted, and I'll go through the book and talk about the parts that I updated with. just so I can go from there. So I started crying, I believe on like the very beginning, but I started updating on page 59. I was talking about how I was sobbing uncontrollably because that's all I did this book. So I started crying because in this book, you know how Tristan went through these, they weren't backflashes. They weren't, it explained like him going through the week leading up to the funeral, and the first one was talking about when he like lost Charlie, and it was seriously like, oh my god, I can't. I seriously was sobbing. And then on page 62, this talked about how when Tristan started cutting Elizabeth's lawn, and they talked about like it's the small things that really hurt. That was really sad. I put, closes book, continues to sob. I don't know if I'll be able to get through this book. It is slowly breaking my heart in the best possible way, because it seriously did. And then around page 86, Tristan started to make progress with Elizabeth, and it was great. Again, in the beginning, I felt like he hated everybody. He didn't want anything to do with anyone, and he was very rude, basically. But I can understand where that was coming from, because he really honestly felt like he didn't deserve to be happy, and he deserved to be miserable because of what had happened. So I put the book down. So I started reading this book on February 18th, and then I put it down on February 18th, and I didn't pick up again until March 3rd. And so I had that break, and so then I was on page 86, and then I was on page 91, and my update was, put this book down over a week ago. My heart couldn't take it, and I got busy with school, picked it back up tonight, and 3 pages in, I'm full on sobbing again. The feathers, God, I can't. So sad, but so good. So I'm assuming that this is the part where Emma is very heartbroken that she didn't see a feather from her father, because that was her thing. Like, she would always find white feathers to know that, you know, her dad was looking over her. And so she didn't find any. And so then the next day, Tristan put feathers all over their front porch, like a bunch of feathers over their front porch. And so she, you know, it really is the little things, and he really appreciated, he really took into consideration her feelings, Emma's feelings, and how much it meant to her, and I thought that that was seriously amazing. And then on page 108, it talks about how Tristan was like, I'll take care of you, and how, because she says, I miss having someone take care of me, and Tristan stepped closer, lowering his voice, and brushed his lips against my ear. I'll help you hold on to him. I'll help you remember. I'll take care of you. And I thought that was so cute. Now, in the beginning of their relationship, they were definitely using each other, and it was kind of weird because they would be together and they would think of their spouses, and I thought that was a little weird, but I could see where it was coming from. And then they eventually realized that we shouldn't be doing this. This is causing more heartbreak than it is, you know, and so they stopped doing that. And once they realized that, you know, this isn't doing us any good, it's really just breaking our hearts more, they took a step back, and it's when they realized that they really did start to have feelings for each other. And then we found out that Tristan overnighted 5,000 white feathers. It was just so precious to see how much he really cared about Emma and Elizabeth. I really liked it. I also put, the tears are flowing tonight, but I will continue. With a broken heart and a bucket of tears, I will continue this beautiful book. And I did. And then the whole part with Hulk, you guys know what I'm talking about if you read this. Oh my gosh. I thought that was hilarious. It was a great part because I finally had stopped sobbing, and I was like, great. And I giggled quite a few times in this book, and that was also something that I hadn't had in a while. And the whole dream about Hulk and Tristan, and I thought it was a little strange. It was a lot strange, actually, but I found it to be really hilarious, and it definitely was a very good giggle that I needed. Then I talked about how Tris, I don't know if I really liked that nickname, but what can you do? And then around page 152, I started getting a slight sneaky, fishy, secretive feeling from Tanner. And I was like, well, see, and turns out I was so right. Tanner is the most disgusting character I have ever encountered in reading. I think it's disgusting what he did. I'll get to more of that in a minute. So then Elizabeth talked to Tristan about how her mom and dad used to write love notes, and so they ended up starting writing post-it notes to each other, and I thought that was so precious. It was adorable. I couldn't help it. And then there was the whole scene where Tristan was reading, I want to say he was reading a book to Emma when she was going to sleep, and Zeus was laying at the end of the bed, and he was telling her, like, no, she was telling him, like, I really like you, I'm happy you're here, all this stuff, and it was just really, really precious. I really enjoyed the time that they spent together, because I felt like since Tristan had lost someone, he really connected with Emma, and he really cared for her, and it was seriously amazing to see that. Then around page 177, there was a thunderstorm, and Elizabeth was on her front porch, and all of a sudden Tristan comes running out and is like, Elizabeth, Elizabeth, blah, 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 like all this stuff, like, I accidentally fell in love with you, and, you know, like, you have to let me know now if this isn't what you want, because I accidentally fell in love with you, and all this stuff, and I thought it was so cute. And I just thought that the way that he brought it all up was really hilarious, but it was really cute at the same time, because he's like, I accidentally fell in love with you, and if this isn't what you want, you need to tell me now. But I thought it was adorable. And then around page 182, I thought it was really funny again. Tristan, I want to say he was fighting with, so Faye had found out that Maddie, her boss, but also her boyfriend, was, you know, like, just a total jerk. And so she was crying, and she went to Elizabeth's house, but Elizabeth was putting Emma to bed, and so she went over to Tristan and was like, I need some of your dog's crap. And so she was gonna light the crap on fire on his porch. And so Tristan and them get together, and they go and do this little lighting crap on fire on Maddie's porch, and so they do it, but then his porch catches on fire, and so then Tristan runs out of the car, and because he didn't want Faye to get in trouble, so he runs out of the car, starts stomping on this bag, a huge bag of crap that is on fire to put out the fire, and then Maddie opens the door and is like, what the F is going on? And oops, I'm too far. So I'm just gonna read it. I thought this was absolutely hilarious. Maddie comes out and he says, what the hell are you doing? Maddie asks, opening his door and staring at me. The smell of poop hit him quickly, causing him to cover his nose with his hand. Is that dog shit? My mind blanked. I wasn't sure what to say or how to explain why my shoes were currently covered in my dog's poop, so I panicked. I'm the town asshole. I randomly leave shit around because I'm the town asshole. So fuck you. He stared at me. I stared at him. He raised an eyebrow. I raised an eyebrow. He threatened to call the cops. I kicked off my shoes, ran to my car, and drove away. I just thought that whole scene was seriously hilarious. I love how Tristan stepped up and totally helped Faye out and, you know, like, backed her up so she wouldn't get in trouble. But he also made a really, really funny time out of it and, you know, let the rumors of who he was really stick it to him, you know? And so then there's a part where Tristan, around page 200, Tristan starts really just not having it with Tanner, and I want to say that they are having a birthday party for Elizabeth, and Tanner is just like, you know, you aren't meant to be with her, I'm meant to be with her. I had this coin toss with Steven before he died, and I won the coin toss. I was supposed to get her, but Steven went ahead and married her, and it's my turn to be with her. Like, he was honestly, he was psycho. And so he was like, I need to be with her, you don't deserve to be with her, you're crazy, you murdered your wife, you did this, like, he was calling him all these names, and Tristan snapped after he tried to stay calm, which I commend him for staying calm for so long, but then he snapped and he totally started, like, wailing on him, which I think Tanner deserved 100%, and so I was like, go Tristan, Tanner deserves it. And then, you know, stuff goes on, and then Tanner decides to bring papers to Elizabeth's house, and this is where it starts to get very, 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 very twisted, and it didn't click until the page before I started thinking, the twist happens, but the page where Tanner is with papers, when it was said that Tanner was at her house with papers, I was like, okay, what are the papers going to say? And I started thinking about it, and then it hit me, and then it was because the accident that killed Jamie and Charlie was caused by Steven. So Steven was killed in a car accident, and so were Jamie and Charlie. Jamie and Charlie were run off the road and killed, and Steven had run off the road. And so Steven crashed into Charlie and Jamie and killed them, and Steven ended up dying as well, but it was Steven's accident that caused Jamie and Charlie to die. And so that's how Elizabeth and Tristan were connected. And I totally wasn't expecting that. It didn't hit me until I actually started thinking about it, because they were both killed in car accidents. And then I started crying again because I think it went back to flashbacks, like with the day before the funeral. It talked about how Tristan was suicidal and he tried to end his life, and it talked about the funeral, and that was all very, very hard to read. It was very sad. And then on page 231, this is where Tanner was in the magic shop, and Elizabeth had not yet told Tristan that they were connected in that way, and Tanner totally sabotaged everything and was like, oh, I'm so happy, like, you guys can still work things out after her husband killed your family or something. He totally blew the cover and ruined it, because now Elizabeth wasn't able to tell Tristan in the way that she wanted to, and it really ruined things. They ended up splitting up for a while. Tristan went back home. He was with his parents for a while, and then there was a lot of wise words by Mr. Henson. I thought he was seriously so great. Then Tristan was talking to his mom, and he had the picture that Emma had taken of Elizabeth and Tristan. They were together with some white feathers, and Emma took their picture. He was looking at it, and his mom was like, how do you have a picture of this girl? She was the one that was with me in the hospital. Like, she stayed with Jamie because I couldn't decide if I wanted to stay with Charlie or Jamie. And so she stayed with Jamie while I visited Charlie, you know, all this stuff. And so then Tristan went to the cemetery and was like, I need a sign. I wish you could give me a sign that it's okay for me to move on with this girl. I really care about her. She's amazing, all this stuff. I feel guilty. Like, he really just wanted a sign that Jamie would be okay with him moving on with another woman. And as he was walking away, a white feather appeared, and I thought that was such a cute touch. And then we eventually found out that this is the huge twist, and it went by so fast, that Tanner caused the accident to happen, because Tanner was literally twisted in the head and he cut Steven's brake lines. He wanted to kill Steven and Emma because he was hoping that Emma would be in the car with Steven, but turns out that Steven took the car by himself on a road on the highway, and that's when he couldn't brake. He ran into Jamie and Charlie, and so he was like, it's my fault, it's my turn to be with her. And so Tristan punched him. Tristan went to jail. Tanner was like, I need to get rid of Emma, because how am I going to be with Elizabeth if she has a child with Steven and it reminds her of him and all this stuff. And so he basically said that he was going to hurt Emma, and then Tristan punched him, but then he got arrested, and he told Elizabeth, make sure Emma is safe. And so they get out of jail. Mr. Henson bails them out. They get out of jail. Elizabeth and Tristan go to her parent, like her grandparents-in-law. It's Steven's parents, and because that's where Emma was. And it turns out that Tanner had showed up and taken Emma and said that, you know, oh, Elizabeth's car's broken down. She wanted me to come and pick up Emma. And so Emma is missing for a day. The police can't find her, and then we find out that Tanner was leaving Post-it notes when Tristan wasn't in town on Elizabeth's window it made it seem like it was Tristan. And then, so then eventually Tanner leaves a Post-it note on Elizabeth's window saying like, oh, blah, 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 in the shed. Like, he basically tells them where he's at. He says that Tristan's shed really should have a car in it and not books and all the memories of his family. And so he basically said where Emma was, and Emma was in the garage with the car running, and so she wasn't able to get to Emma because Tanner was in front of the car, in front of the shed with a gun, and was like, don't go any farther, blah, blah, blah. So then Elizabeth was like, I need to diffuse the situation. So she tried to be like, oh, I love you, all this stuff. But then Tristan got inside the shed, and Tanner was like, no, F you, you can't do this. And then you tricked me, all this stuff. And so then Tanner and Elizabeth start wrestling for the gun, and the gun goes off, I think 3 times, and Elizabeth is so scared and that she's been shot. And Tristan comes out with Emma. She's unconscious. The paramedics get called. Turns out Tanner, I don't know if it seems really blurry. Maybe I should go back and reread it. But it seemed like Elizabeth had shot the gun and it fired bullets into Tanner, and Tanner ended up dying. But Turns out that Elizabeth also got shot. She like got grazed by a bullet. And so I think that they were both fighting for the gun, but Tanner ended up dying because Elizabeth killed him. She ended up going to the hospital, and I also put in here how I really liked how she still stood up for herself, because Tristan was like, oh my god, I love you, blah, 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 I'm so glad you're okay. And she's like, just because I got shot does not mean that you need to run back to me. You should have ran back to me 4 months ago after you left, you know? And so I liked how she still stood up for herself and was, you know, she stood up for herself. It was great. And that's where that was the last update that I had. And then it ends up going into the epilogue and how they have a family, and it's so precious and it's so cute. But that's where the story goes, and it is absolutely crazy. I thought it was an amazing story. It definitely took turns that I wasn't expecting, but I loved the characters. I loved the development. I loved seeing all of the side characters really come together and everything like that. And I believe that there are going to be, I've been looking on Goodreads, and there's going to be a total of 4 books, and each book is going to deal with an element. So this one is air, the next one's fire, water, and earth. And so I'm interested to see that, because they're all connected in that way, but it's like they can be read as standalones. And so I'm curious to see if the characters are connected in any way. But we'll see. I really enjoyed this book, and I cannot wait to read the rest. I really like her writing, and I will definitely be checking more out. But I just made a 28-minute video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this if you're still watching. But I just can't explain how much I really enjoyed this book. That's all I really have to say. Alright, I'm going to sign off and see you guys in my next video.